there's this blank, empty void, right? And you have to fill it, and the only thing that you can fill it with is yourself. That's terrifying. So on average, like when you start writing, maybe you have an idea for a story, but for long-term projects, you've got this blank page and you have just like enough idea for the first page, but you don't know what's going to happen after that. And I'm going to reach the end of the page, and then I don't know. There's nothing will happen. I will be a failure. I will live in shame. I will have sackcloth and ashes, and everyone will think that I'm terrible.
A tortured writer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's that terror of like not knowing where you're going or not knowing if it's ever going to be good enough stops so many of us. And it's stopped me dozens and dozens, hundreds of times, and it's awful. It's really bad. And so it's a very inconvenient roadblock to have. Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Hensley's just, and he's just sitting there with his arms crossed, nodding at that whole thing. Is that something where you've been there too?
Well,
Doctor?
we've all felt that, but I tell them writer's block is no excuse. It's the idea that it's just lack of talent. So when they come to college, we say, all right, why aren't you going forward? Well, I'm not confident about dialogue. Well, let's learn how to write dialogue. I'm not confident about my research. Well, let's learn how to do research. And the diversity of training then brings that through so that he may still have those feelings that, like, I don't know if I'm a creative artist, but then you fall back on your training, and that's what brings you through.
Absolutely. The first draft is always going to be bad. There's no way to get around it. It will always be bad. You're going to have to go through the first draft and sort of just duck your head under and plow through all of this until you reach the end. And then you've got this like hulking, nasty grotesquerie, and you're ashamed of making it, but you finished. And that's the critical thing. Because once you have this, you know what you've done, you know all of the beginning, middle, and end points, and now you can go about fixing it. Because you can't make it perfect right from the beginning. Perfectionism just creeps in. It's really insidious.
And I always tell them, you can't edit a blank page. That's all there's to it. You've got to get the first draft down. And you get that out. And then later on you can hone, because they learn that we all have this editor sitting on our shoulders. That's not good enough, or that's going. Who cares? Just get it out, like Chandler was saying. Then that's when your training kicks in. Is the grammar right? Are the transitions smooth? Is the sound of my voice, is it natural as it comes through here? But yeah, you've got to get that first draft out. You're right.
As I'm listening, I think of a couple of things. That could be your next short article about all that you go through in the angst in the drama.
Oh, yes.
And then here's another thing, and I don't know if you're aware of this. I went to that same writers' conference in Colorado, only it was a couple of years later after you went. And I've only gone once, and this killed me, because I went to one breakout session, and this author who has written, and it's female, written many books. Do you know that she says that she just sits down and writes? And she doesn't correct it. It's perfect. The first time, of course, she lost all of us in the group. Like, why should we even try anymore?
And when I hear people say, I say, you thought that, and then I wonder what happened when your editor got done with it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the situation. Yeah, you might have thought it was perfect.
So Meredith, you're listening to Chandler. Have you gone through a lot of this too, or is writing something that you approach with joy and anti-Chandlerism?
It always depends on the piece. I came into Taylor wanting to do fiction and wanting to do that either as an editor and as a writer for my living. And I was working on a book that I started my junior year of high school, and I just realized in the past few months, this isn't a story. I have one character that's well developed, and nobody else. Everyone else exists for this character. This isn't a story. So I've had to step away from that. Even though, it's awful, and I could try to rewrite it, but I don't have a story there.
So do you have it in a file now that you're going to maybe make that character a part of another story, or something will come up and you can make the story around that character in the future?
I'm always going to have this character because she's so well developed, but I'm going to leave her alone for a while and wait for a story, or think of other characters to surround her with that aren't just existing to help her exist.
Ooh.